Hey everybody, and welcome back to yet another Minecraft Redstone video. Today, I have possibly my most impressive redstone creation. This is an entirely redstone-based hotel that is expandable. This current version has 10 different usable floors, and essentially, by a redstone hotel, I mean each room has their own separate room key, and you can use that room key to actually enter your room. So all the doors are locked, nobody can enter them unless you have that specific room key. There's also a working elevator that'll take you through all these separate floors all the way up to the ceiling in a very compact space. So I can't wait to show you guys this thing because I am so happy with how this thing turned out. I think it looks great. This current design, by the way, has 10 different working floors on it that you can actually enter and buy your own room. I built this thing because ever since my really old survival world, I've always just had this inspiration to build like a working hotel room on a server where people could like pay you some money and then own their own little apartment building. And essentially, that's what I built today. Pretty happy with how this thing turned out. Okay, so anyway, we went ahead and we entered the lobby. You know, nothing too fancy over here. We can walk over here. Still nothing really happening. However, if we step on these pressure plates and then stand in the middle of the glowstone, a piston will suck us up and we are now on floor number 1. So you can see, you can't really move around too much. There's nowhere for you to walk to, but rather we just have some buttons here. So the first thing we can see is a little sign that says floor number 1. There's a chest over here and a chest over here, but there's nothing in this chest at the moment. And that's about all we can reach. Anyway, there are 2 buttons right here. And the bottom button makes you go down a floor. So if we go ahead and push the bottom button, we will return back down to the lobby. But we can step on the pressure plate and head back up. There we go. And then this other button, that allows us to actually head up to the next floor. So now we are on floor number 2. And again, floor number 2, the same thing. There's a couple chests here, but there's nothing in any of these chests. It says floor number 2 here. And there's a couple buttons, one that returns me down to floor number 1. And then there's also a button that will bring me up to floor number 3. But then if we turn around here, we have the dispenser. Or should I say dropper? It's actually a dropper. I fooled you guys. But what this dropper is this is where you can put your different key cards. And if you put in the correct key card, then you will be granted access into that room. So allow me to show you guys how this works. First, we'll go ahead and put in a key card that doesn't actually work. So let's go ahead and put in floor number 10. And this is floor number 10 to the right. Obviously, we're only on floor number 2, so if we go ahead and put in floor number 10, nothing is really gonna happen. And also keep in mind that both of these chests right here are empty at the current moment. But if we go ahead and put in floor number 2 right, that's gonna go ahead and activate the piston to our right here. And there we go. The piston like sucks us in. That wasn't a glitch. That wasn't any video editing magic or anything. The piston just sucks us right in. And then if we look at this chest here, we actually receive our key card back, and we have entered our own private apartment. Ooh la la, look at this. So each of the apartments are pretty much the exact same. To the side here at the start, they always have a nice little area where you can sit down on your nice little couch here, watch some TV, look out of the windows. Over here, we just got some furnaces set up, a bunch of storage along with some crafting. And then if you enter in here, this is your bedroom. You have your own little nightlight along with some, bedside chest. And this is where you can sleep along with one other person. So it's a pretty nifty apartment. And like I said before, each of the different apartments are pretty much exactly the same. Now here's where some of the magic comes into play. Each of the apartments, they're only 2 blocks high. And now I actually used half slabs here to give us the illusion that it's a little bit higher than 2 blocks, but if you go up here, you can see we're on the very next floor. Now this floor is empty. I'll explain that in a second. Anyway, let's go ahead and exit the hotel room. So the only way we have to exit, unfortunately, by using this piston method instead of using something like doors, you can't actually exit this way in that direction. So the way I worked out exiting and making it a lot much easier to work with redstone wise is you just jump off and you land on some slime blocks down there, and then we can go ahead and enter again. But let's go ahead and let's move up to a different floor. So the really cool thing about this is the whole elevator system. Because we're using this whole piston method, it is really easy to just head up a bunch of floors in rapid succession. You can see we're on floor 5 here, and then we will head up to here's floor 5, and then floor 6, cool beans. Okay, so let's go ahead and enter another apartment room. So this is floor 6. We will go ahead and enter floor 6 on the left, and then you gotta go ahead, push the button. Give it some time, the piston will pull us over, and then we gotta wait a little bit because there's a lot of hoppers that's gotta travel through. But, come on, buddy. Booyah, there we go, floor 6 left, we get our key card back, and we have entered our apartment. Pretty much the exact same thing, but we're good to go. Now there's a whole lot of redstone going on here, and honestly, the most difficult part was getting it to fit, because each floor is only there's only 2 blocks separating each different floor. Unfortunately, by using just pistons for the elevator, that means you only have 2 blocks for each redstone. And there's so much redstone going on for just each floor. Because keep in mind, there's 2 hotel rooms on either side of a singular floor. Okay, so now let's go ahead and take a look at the redstone behind this. I could probably explain it because honestly, it's not really complicated at all. The greatest challenge here by far was compacting it, because keep in mind, there's only 2 blocks in between each floor. So that is extremely hard to fit the amount of redstone that we have going on here in that tiny space. It was very hard, especially because I wanted to make it stackable. So that way I could only build, I only ended up building, 3 floors here, and then you can just copy and paste these 3 floors on top of each other and get a giant hotel like that really easily. So here is the redstone behind it. This is sort of the skeleton of the machine of what just the redstone looks like. So the first thing that we're trying to accomplish here, at least for the keycard reader, is we have to have an item sorter. And this is where only having 2 blocks in between each space really hurts, because an item sorter is look how long this is. I think an item sorter is 6 blocks lengthwise, or heightwise I should say. Yeah, there's 6 blocks here, so definitely you cannot just stack them on top of each other. So I had to put 1 item sorter on this side, then 1 item sorter on this side, and sort of stagger them like that. Anyway, the first thing that we're doing is we are making sure that you have indeed entered the correct keycard. In this one, the keycards that we are using are diamonds and redstone blocks. Now here's what happens when we put in a diamond. So the diamond line comes down here, it triggers this redstone over here, and that triggers this torch, and pretty much it goes on this very windy road going up, over, and finally it triggers this piston right here. So if we go ahead and snag in a diamond here, that piston's going to fire, and that will just suck you over into this apartment. Pretty simple. And then we just have a line of hoppers leading into this dropper right there. When you open the chest, it goes ahead and sucks out a diamond, and that's how you get your key card back. So like I said, it's really not complicated stuff going on here, but rather it was so difficult to be able to make it stackable, because there's only 2 blocks in between each floor level, and there's a whole lot of redstone that needs to go on, because then we also have to have the redstone block for the other hotel room door, and that's going to trigger this line of redstone, which goes over here, and that triggers that piston right here, so it sucks you over to this side, and then we have an even longer trail of hoppers that has to go all the way around over to this chest. Now, all that redstone that I just explained is about half of the entire redstone for the machine. That does the card reader, but the next step is having to fit an elevator in here somehow, and that was even more difficult almost, because the up guy wasn't too difficult. All we have to do to get the elevator to head in the upwards direction is we just have to put a little button down here, and then that's going to go ahead and trigger a piston, which will just pull you in the upwards direction. We're just like that, really nothing that's too difficult there. However, the downward direction, we have to send that guy on a little invert scale, and then that's going to pull this piston back, which will allow you to also go in the downward direction. Again, none of this redstone is very complex, but rather it was such a task to make it fit in a very, it's not even a tiny area, but rather just you only have 2 blocks to fit all of this redstone, and this machine is stackable. So that brings me to my final point, and that is the fact that there is an empty floor in the hotel room. Unfortunately, to fit all of the redstone, I had to dedicate one of these floors right here, which is this guy, to entirely redstone. It doesn't look like a whole lot, but we had to have an empty floor here to actually make the redstone fit in. So the way I accomplished that in the hotel room, and the reason you don't actually see an empty floor, is every 2 floors it actually skips a floor entirely. So if we go ahead and enter the actual hotel room, we will head in the upwards direction, and then next time we head up, it actually skips a floor. So here's the empty floor, and then it pulls you up to floor number 3. And that happens every 2 times, just so I could fit all of the redstone in a very small area. Again, it's really nothing too complex, but rather it is just getting it in a tiny area. And honestly, I'm so happy with the final product. It looks really amazing from the whole user perspective. However, the redstone behind it is a little bit of a mess. But if we go ahead and enter floor number 5, we will head into the right apartment this time. Let's go ahead, push the button. You get sucked over to the right. And then in a minute, it takes a little bit longer because there are a lot of hoppers. But there we go. Okay, so we got our key card back, and we're good to go. You can also go ahead and rename these papers anything, or use any item. You don't even have to use paper. However, this is nice because if you own the hotel and you built it, you can kind of like have the master key cards for every hotel room and break in. I don't know. It's just a really cool concept. I've always wanted to play on a server where you could like have a big city, and then you could sell out little apartment buildings. Like if you wanted to rent in an apartment for, you know, a little bit, you could be like, hey, you can have this thing for a couple months. It'll cost you 3 diamonds. Here's your key card. You're on floor number 5 to the right. And then you can like, every time you'll have to head up to the 5th floor. I'm sorry for cheating a little bit with the slime blocks. I know that's not really a whole lot of redstone going on there. But unfortunately, working with pistons instead of working with doors doesn't really make it so you can exit out easily. I would really like to upgrade this though. This is definitely a redstone project that I want to work on in the future. I've just been working on this thing for way too long and spending so much time really getting it to work. I just wanted to show it to you guys. At least at its current state. It's probably an early testing. Definitely not going to be doing a tutorial on it yet. But it is just a cool concept, and I wanted to know what you guys think. You know, would you ever be interested in actually building a hotel room? Like I said, there are 10 floors on this thing, so that is 20 different apartment buildings. And each apartment building is pretty nice and fancy in there. You can also go ahead and head up to the roof, which I customized a little bit. Looks pretty nice up here. We added in a nice little roof on top, and then you can go ahead and stand here and actually push this button and start heading down all the way. All right, let's go ahead and enter floor number 10 on the left. Like I said before, if you try to put in an item that's not something that it accepts, it's gonna take it, but nothing's going to happen. It has to be the correct key card, which is floor 10 to the left, and it should suck us in. There we go. And then in a minute here, we will get our key card back. Come on. There we go. Awesome. Sweet. Awesome hotel room. And I spent so much time decorating these hotel rooms. It was so much fun. I really enjoyed that. Ah, that's cute. That's cute. And then you get an awesome view of the city. So anyway, there will be a world download link down in the description. Be sure to go check it out for yourselves. Highly recommend it. You can also just copy and paste this guy, like I said before, on top of each other a bunch of times, and then pretty much make a hotel room all the way up to the sky, or however how you guys want it to be. Anyway, I will definitely be working on improving this hotel room idea in the future. I just thought it was a great idea and something I always wanted in my own personal survival world, so I thought maybe there's a couple of you guys out there who would want to maybe build it, or at least, you know, appreciate the idea and the thought. Other than that, my name's Crew. Hopefully you all enjoyed. World down the link down in the description, and yeah, I will see you guys in another Minecraft Redstone video. Adios.